Okay, this session is for the level 4 Synoptic, and also like this is the final exam you have for the AAT. So once you completed all the paper for your level 4, except the two optional paper, you can do the Synoptic exam. So of course, like as soon as you're doing the Synoptic, that means like you are already done all the papers and you're doing your kind of your last exam for the AT. And once you do this one, it will give you the full completion certificate for UAT, and after that you'll be able to apply for your membership, and you will be able to get a mat that is the AT member if you like to get it. All right, let's have a look. This professional synoptic. So here, what we're going to see for the question wise. So there are a few question we have that is for the revision purpose. I'm opening the question bank that is from the BPP. And here there are a few questions, task 1 to task 6, and there are some practice question as well we have that you're going to practice throughout your revision. Here, there's a lot of questions they give it to us. And if you can confirm, like you can practice all this question from this book, you'll be able to know all the area that going to come in the exam. So obviously it will take some time, few weeks, but if you can do it, then you'll be absolutely fine. Let's have a look at the area that we're going to expect in the exam and how many marks will come from where. The first question, task 1. Task 1 will be quite straightforward, very straightforward. No workings, no calculation. You don't have to use the calculator. All you have to do, you have to write the answer straight away. So this question will be mainly from the ethics. It's a counting function. And here we'll have a ethics and the counting functions. All you have to do, you have to choose the answer. So they will give you some question. Either you have to pick and choose. There's a multiple choice question that will be mixed up with the ethics. Then it will be true or false. Or you have to fill in the gap. Fill the gap. So here we don't have to write anything. It's just like a very straightforward question. And this question will take a very small amount of time because you're going to do it really quick. If you like to save some time for your exam, you have to make sure question number 1 you do really quick so that you can save some time for the other question. So this one is question number 1. And most likely we're expecting the question for the question number 1, either from the sales ledger control or from the purchase ledger control. This question tells us like identify the difference between the reconciliation or the reason why the sales ledger control or the sales ledger or purchase ledger control or the purchase ledger doesn't match. So that means this question most likely come from the either sales ledger control or the purchase ledger control, or so you can call it reconciliation. So this question normally come from the reconciliation. So you have to say that this error can be detected during the reconciliation and this error will not be found during the reconciliation. I hope you remember the difference between sales ledger control and the sales ledger. So that is kind of the paper you've done, I think, on your level 2 and level 3. Sales ledger control is showing the total customer balance. Total customer balance. That means how much we are expecting from our customer. On the other hand, sales ledger represent only one customer. So individual customer balance. Individual customer balance. So sales ledger represent only one customer. Now, of course, at the end of the day, how many customer I have, if I added their balance CD, it should match with the total customer balance, isn't it? Ideally, it should match. But if it doesn't match for any reason, we have to reconcile it. And we call it reconciliation. And question number 1, most likely they give it from the reconciliation, either from the purchase ledger or from the sales ledger. Then we have the task 2. Task 2 will be a little bit tricky. So in this task, we have to write a little bit. In this synoptic exam, most of the question we have to write, to be honest. Now, writing question, sometimes you need to be careful, like your typing speed. How is your typing speed? Sometimes I'm a student, their typing speed is not really good. You don't have to be really fast, but you have to be like a standard, because there is a lot of marks will come from the writing question. So your typing need to be good. Also, one more thing, the spelling. You have to be careful with the spelling. So sometimes when you write fast, the spelling is wrong. So you need to be careful, because normally when we do our day-to-day work, what happen if the spelling is wrong, it underline under Microsoft, it shows it's the wrong spelling and we correct it. But when we write the answer on the AAT exam, it will not show. Even it is wrong, it will not show any underline. So that means we will avoid that, we'll skip it. So it is not good for us to get a good score. So we need to make sure the spelling has to be correct. So next question is from the budgetary reporting. Now, budgetary reporting question, this question will come for the weakness or strength of the budgetary control system. Either it will come for the weakness or strength of the budgetary process. Now, for this question, we have to remember our two paper, that was budgeting, that was the first paper, and the decision making and control. So the first two paper we have done for your level 4, this question is relevant to that two paper. Now, of course, there are few budget we have done on this two paper. If you remember your cash budget, then rolling budget, then zero based budget, incremental budget. There's a lot of budget we have done on this two paper. This question can come from any of the budget. And this question will tell you what is the strength of this cash budget, what is the strength of this, what is the weakness of this cash budget. So for example, they will give you the scenario. And for example, they'll give you a cash budget. And the scenario is like that. They're asking like, the company is expecting to, we understand what is the budget, isn't it, Ryan? Budget means something like your pre-plan, isn't it? So what you're going to do in future, you make a plan for that in advance, we called it budget. Now, what happened, like when you do a budget, and the budget has to be realistic. So you cannot say like, oh, last year my revenue was 10,000. This year I'm expecting 1 million. It doesn't look like realistic. So how come it jumped from 10,000 to 1 million? So they will give you some scenario. They'll tell you the revenue was 1 million. Next year revenue will be 5 million. And you have to say, oh, it doesn't look like realistic, because there is not enough data available. It's showing like the next year sales can jump to 500%. So it's look like it's not very realistic. For example, they can say the direct material cost will be reduced by 20%. But on the other hand, the question said there is a lot of demand for the direct material in the market. So it's look like if there is a lot of demand of the direct material in the market, look like the material price will not be reduced. So whatever the budget I'm making is not realistic, isn't it? So you have to say all of this thing from the scenario. You have to say like, from the scenario, you have to basically find it out what is the weakness of that budget. So this question will come from question number 2. And also they will ask you the improvement. So they will tell you like, okay, what is the weakness? And after the weakness, they will tell you, okay, what we can do actually, what is the improvement we can do in order to improve the budget. So for example, if they says one person involved with the purchasing, for example, say like Ryan make the order, and Ryan is the person who authorized the invoice. So what happened? There is a possibility of the fraud, isn't it? So I can order anything, and I'm the one who authorized it. So no one there to check me. So I can do some fraud, isn't it? So that's why we have to find it out. Okay, we can say like, okay, this is the weakness, and what could be the possible solution for that? We can say segregation of duties. So the duties need to be segregated. Someone need to be do that, someone need to be do that. So obviously that's how we can say like, okay, segregation of duty will help us to solve this problem. So first we need to write the weakness, like 5 to 7 weakness. After that, we have to After that, we have to find it out um, what is the improvement, or what is the solution we have for that, how to minimize this sort of weakness. All right, then the question number 3 will be from the accounting control system and procedure. Now this question, again, this one will ask you the weakness, but obviously this question will be a little bit like scenario based again, and this question will give you some scenario, and they will tell you find the weakness or strength from this. For example, from the veggie delight, it will tell you like this person involving with that, the company have a strategy, the policy. So you have to read all the scenario, and from the scenario you have to pick how many weaknesses there. So this is very straightforward question. You have to find the weakness. All right, and the next one we have task number 4, decision making and control. Here, this question will be a little bit mixed. Here, question number 4, we have to do a little bit working. So that means there is some calculation. So we have to do some workings. And at the same time, so we have to do some comment on that working, and we have to do the comments. For example, let's say the company gave information for the CVP analysis. If you remember your CVP analysis, like the break even, then target profit, then CS ratio. So this sort of thing they'll give it to you. Or maybe they can give you the flex budget. It will ask you to find the variance analysis. So you have to find the difference between the budgeted and the actual, and then you have to give some comment. For example, the sales variance is good, favorable. You can say sales variance is good because the revenue is more than expected. This is the reason. The sales price gone up, the sales volume gone up. So you have to say something. Then, for example, for the what's that called, for the cost, for example, for the direct material, direct labor, overhead, you can say like this is going down because the labor is cheap, or you can say this going up because the labor is shortage. So you have to give some comment after the calculation. Also, this question can come from the sort of like management accounting question. They can give you some budget, and they can tell you like which product give you more profit. They'll give you two product X and Y. They'll tell you calculate the profit, and after that calculating the profit, they'll tell you advise the management which product they should make first. So you need to say this product need to make first because this one give you more contribution. So you have to do the workings, and after the workings you have to give the comment on that. All right, then task number 5, it will be the most quicker one and easy one, and you're expecting the full marks from there. We're expecting 20 marks from this question. 20% marks. 20 marks will come from this question, ratio analysis, and we are expecting 20 out of 20 from this question because that's just a ratio analysis, and there is some set of ratio will become in the exam. And all you have to do, either you have to calculate the ratio or they will calculate the ratio. You have to find what is the requirement there, and based on that you answer. But this question will be from the ratio analysis. Now we already know ratio analysis is quite easy because it's based on the formula, and we have to know what is the reason some ratio can go up and down. So if you can revise this area good, so what will happen, we'll get the full marks from this question. And there will be very quicker this question because that's just a ratio calculation. Sometimes they will give you the ratio for the last year, the comparative year. They will give it to you 2020. They'll ask you what is the ratio for 2021, and after that you need to give the comment like, is it 21 is better than 20? So you have to say like, oh, the sales is better because the gross margin is increased by 10%, or the gross profit increased by 10%, or maybe ROC increased by 2%. On the other hand, you can say the inventory turnover is reduced by 5%. So you have to compare between the 2 years. So it is very common. They'll done 1 year for you, the last year, and they'll tell you calculate the ratio for this year and make the comparison how the company doing good or bad. And it's more likely very precise question, and you will exactly, if you practice 3-4 question, the same question you're going to see in the exam. All right, so this will be like quite easier for us. Task number 5. Now task number 6 is internal control. This one will ask you the weakness of the internal control. Weakness, what is the weakness of the internal control? Now, of course, like the weakness means like they will give you a system. Normally, this question always come from the payroll. 90% time, this question come from the payroll weakness. So they will give you a payroll system and they'll tell you like, for example, 2 person involved with the payroll department and one person is like very experienced, another person is learning, and they'll tell you the experienced person suddenly went for the holiday or she's sick, or how like how the other person will manage if she is not very experience, and they'll tell you like now she's getting the hours from the department, she's making process the payment, she's doing everything, and they will give you some scenario. For example, they said like 2 person was involved in the payroll department and there was a fire, some file is destroyed, and they have very little time to process the payment, and after that they will tell you like, for example, 1 person is very experienced who do the payroll, but he is now sick. So another person, he's making this and he don't know how to keep the backup. So he'll tell you all the story. And from every single story, when you read, you have to underline it and you have to say, oh, this is a weakness. For example, if the question said this company does not keep the payroll backup regularly, that means if the computer hard drive is crash or if anything happened, then they will not be able to recover the data, isn't it? So obviously, like this is the weakness. If they said like only 1 person, he knows everything about the payroll. Now, obviously, if this is the reason, like if that person leaves the company will be in trouble because the company depend on that person. So you have to read the scenario and you have to pick like what is the weakness there and what is the possible way to reduce that risk or overcome that risk. For example, you can say there should be another person who knows all the payroll systems. So in case 1 person is sick or go for holiday, another person can cover it up. And also, like, for example, if you say like the company is not keeping the backup regularly, so they should keep the backup in order to keep the data safe in a cloud or somewhere or in a USB. So this sort of thing will come in the exam. Question number 6. Now, sometimes the question also come from the cost benefit analysis. Cost benefit analysis. Now, the cost benefit analysis is all about when we have a scenario of the question, and the question give us some cost and the question give us some benefit. For example, the question will tell you like the company is thinking about a new software system. Now, currently the company use a manual accounting system in Excel. So company thinking about Zero or company thinking about QuickBook, so that the work efficiency is improved and the work will be fast for the department. Or maybe they can say like the company thinking about a bespoke or a customized software system or integrated system that will help the efficiency improvement for the business. Now, obviously, they will tell you like, okay, the training cost will be 5,000 for the software. The software license will be 5,000. So this is the cost for the company. On the other hand, they'll tell you like, if they took the software, then they don't need 10 employees, they need only 5 employees. So it will save like 5,000 salary every month. And they will tell you like they don't have to keep the record on the backup, and they don't have to pay for another storage separately. It will save you £200. So they will give you some cost and they will give you some saving. So you have to write the cost first and you have to write the saving, and you have to see when you do the cost benefit analysis, we need to see is it the benefit is more than the cost or the cost is more than the benefit. So if the benefit is more than the cost, then we'll recommend the company should go for that new proposal or with the new software, because it will bring more benefit than cost. And if the cost is more, obviously we'll not recommend that. We'll say like the proposed system will have more cost. And if it is a more cost, what will happen? The benefit is less. And if the benefit is less, then we should not go for that project. So the first half will be the cost benefit analysis, the calculation. And the second half will be just a recommendation based on what we have done workings. Now, this question is judgmental question. Remember, this paper will be marked partially by the computer and partially by the human. All the number we're going to put or all the MCQ question that will be marked by the computer. But anything, the writing part, the judgmental part, it will be marked by the human. Now, for example, let's say for any reason, you did not include the sunk cost or any like cost that is already happened. We called it cost incurred, and we did not include this one on the cost. Now, what happened for that reason? If my decision is wrong, for example, it's supposed to be benefit more than the cost, but because of my wrong workings, I said no, the cost is more, the benefit is less. Now, of course, if my cost is more, I'm going to give the wrong decision. I'll say like, do not buy the software because the cost is more. But actually, if I done the right calculation, maybe the benefit is more, not the cost. But remember, if this is the situation, you're not going to lose the marks. You're going to lose the marks for the calculation part only. But when you do the recommendation, if you said like company should not go for that because the cost is more, but actually you're right, because you are giving the comment based on the result you have from the workings, isn't it? So for that reason, you will still get the marks of your writing. So it's not like, oh, I have give the wrong decision. And that means obviously I'm not going to get anything from this question. It is not right, because the human or the person going to give you the mark on that question, and he will see like all the writing you're doing based on the workings you have from the top bit, from the workings you've done. So obviously, whatever the working result was, you give the comment on that. So it is not you just say something. Make sense? Yeah. So this is the story of our structure, the question, 6 question you're going to see, and we have like kind of 3 hours to complete all these 6 tasks, and we can see a little bit more here. This is like the assessment method. Assessment method will be the computer-based assessment, and the marking will be partially by the computer, partially by the human, and the duration is 3 hours. And also we have some little bit breakdown, how many questions will come from which area. So you can see here the first question. This is demonstrate an understanding of the relevance of the role and responsibility of the accounting function with an organization and examine way of preventing and detecting fraud and systematic weakness. So this question will give you 20 marks. So 20 marks will come from question number 1. So question 1 and 5 will be our main target. So this is the 2 question you can always start with. So you really don't have to start with question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can start with question number 1 because that will be really quick. Question number 5, it will be really quick. So if you can do this question very quick, let's say in 40 minutes or 35 minutes, what will happen? Because there is no writing part here, so it will not take that long. So just need to do some workings. I need to choose the multiple choice. So what will happen if you can do these 2 questions at first? So you will be confident like, oh, 40% I already done. So you'll start feeling like more confident, like, oh, 30 minutes or 40 minutes, I done 40%. That means still I have a long time and I have only 4 questions left. So it will give you some more confident inside. And this question, 90% answer will be right for you, because this question is quite straightforward and kind of easy. So these 2 questions will help you to start with your exam. Then the next question will depend which one you're going to start with the workings. I recommend question number 6. I recommend question number 6 for the task 2. So the second question you're going to do, like after 1 and 5, the next question you can do, that will be your third question. That will be question number 6. The reason is this question, sometimes this question will come either from the weakness for the payroll department and either question from the cost benefit analysis. So I'm very sure I'll not be surprised when I see the question. I'll not be surprised because I know which question will be there. So I will go to the question number 6 and I open it and I found, okay, I know this question. So let's do that. And obviously, like, I can do this question really quick. So half of the question will be the workings and half of the question will be comment. So I'll be happy with that. So once this 3 question is done, so almost 55% marks will be on your hand. And then you can choose from here question 3, 2, 3, and 4. Now from these 3 questions, the next question you can choose, that is question number 2. This will be the evaluation or the weakness of the budgetary reporting. So this is always, they say, weakness of the budgetary control, weakness of the cash budget. This question will come. So you can choose this question as a 4th. And question number 3 and 4, that will be both writing question, and you can choose based on the requirement. So rather than reading the whole question, remember, when you choose a question, do not read the whole question. If you try to read the whole question and if you try to decide, I want to go for that first, then you will lose the time, because you'll have no time to read the whole question and decide, I want to do this one or not, because you have only 3 hours and you have a very competitive time to complete all the tasks, because they didn't give you extra time anyway. So you should not go for that. If you want to choose from question number 3 and 4, all you have to do, you have to read the requirement quickly. So it will take a minute, just read the requirement. And if you think the requirement is a familiar for question number 4, go for question number 4. If you think the requirement is a familiar question number 3, go for 3. So the question you don't know very well, you do that question on the last. So how many minutes you have left, you use all the time for that question. And other than all the question you have, you go with your plan. Because the first thing, you should not be surprised on the exam day, because you have to make yourself ready that way, so that on the exam day, you know which question will be in the exam. Make sense? So I know if I go to the question number 1, I know this question will be there. If I question number 2, I know this question will be there. Now let's go to one of the practice question here, just to look at what we discussed and how is it match there. So we'll go one of the practice question from this question bank, BPP. And let's look at this one. That's a BPP practice assessment question 1. Now, as we said, the first question from the 20 marks, isn't it? And you can see the first question is for the 20 marks. And they said like this question is like a pick list. So you have to pick. Then you can say this one is like choose the right one. Then you have to say like this is the sales ledger control. This is the trade receivable. So sales ledger control account, you see. So we have to pick the answer. It will be detected. It will not be detected. Then you have to pick the answer. Then all you can see, there is nothing writing here. All you have to just pick from the pick list. So this question will be really, really quick for you. So you can just really do very quick. Out of like 5 or 6 requirement, if 1 or 2 you don't know, you don't have to spend too much time. You can always come back later on. Quickly do the answer you know. Don't waste the time like if you don't know the answer. Question number 2. See this question from the budgetary control. You see you have been asked to review the budget submission. So they will tell you to submit a budget, and you have to find what is the weakness or something. So this is the budget, they give it to you. They say this is the unaudited and this is the draft. And read the requirement. The requirement said, examine the planning assumption and the calculation in the proposed budget and identify any weakness. You see that? So you have to find the weakness. We need to read the scenario and we need to look at this structure. And from there, we have to find what is the weakness. Every time I find the weakness, I have to make it like underline. So I need to make a point on the scrap paper. So this is the weakness, so that I can write it down. You really don't have to write too much. Remember, you just need to write, this question is like kind of 5 marks. You just need to write 5 weakness. So identify 5 weakness, just identify 5 weakness. And you see, evaluate the budget. Here you have to write something, explain on this sector, sustainable and profitable growth. And this one is said, explain how the zero-based budget could assist the director. Now, as I said, we have to know all the budget. We have to know cash budget. We have to know rolling budget. We have to know zero-wise budget. We have to know incremental budget. So all the budget has to be on your head, because we don't know which one will come in the exam, isn't it? Then question number 3, you can see again, this is the scenario question will come. And after that, most likely they will ask you weakness. You see that? So they are saying find the weakness and potential problem. So let's say, for example, they said only one person, he make the order and he also authorized the invoice. So that's a weakness, isn't it? And what could be the potential problem? The potential problem can be that could lead to the fraud, isn't it? Because the person can misuse it. So you have to find the weakness and you have to say what is the potential problem. It's a very straightforward question, and you have to write for the 15 marks here. Then we have task number 4, and task number 4, again the scenario based question, and you have to you have to write here. This question is completely writing, and it's identify the factor other than annual contribution, which are the relevant development and sales new products. There will be breakdown of the question. So you have to make sure question number 3 and 4 is kind of the whole writing question. So you have to be very careful. Next, number 5 will be the easy one, ratio analysis. They will give you the data and you have to calculate the ratio. So you can see here, this question, they already give us the data for 2012 and we have to do for the 2013. Now you can do one thing. Sometimes like when you do this question, like for example, gross profit, what is the formula for gross profit? So gross profit divides sales times by 100, isn't it? Then operating profit divide sales times by 100. So all this formula you have to remember. Now, sometimes you can check how they calculate. For example, let's say if you look at this question, gross profit, and you calculate here, like, oh, that's my sales revenue, and I minus the cost of sales, and that gives me profit from the operation. So we say like sales minus cost of sales, it will give you the gross profit, isn't it? So the gross profit divided by sales, it will give me the gross profit margin. When you have the percentage, we can check like, okay, this data is already calculated in the question, isn't it? So we can check like how they calculated. We can do this and minus this, and we can find the difference, and we can see what is the percentage, and we can check, oh, it is 27.5. So that's the way they calculated. I can do the same way. Make sense? So you can always check with that how they do, but this question will become from the ratio analysis. So obviously it will be like kind of the easy part to get the 20 marks from the exam. And they'll give you some MCQ question here as well from the comment section. So you can do that. Question number 6, as I said, it will give you either the weakness of the internal control, that is the payroll, or either it will give you the cost benefit analysis. And they will ask you like the strength or the weakness. You can see here, they said, identify strength in this procedure, and this identify weakness in the procedure, and it says identify the opportunity and threat. So this is basically called SWOT analysis. So this question sometimes come from the SWOT analysis. You need to be very good on this SWOT, SWOT, SWOT analysis. We call it SWOT analysis. S for strength, then W for weakness, O for opportunity, and T for threat. Strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. So this is called SWOT analysis. The question can come from the SWOT analysis as well. So you need to make sure you practice few questions from the SWOT. And obviously inside of the SWOT, we have a strength, the weakness, and the opportunity and threat. But remember, this question will always link with either weakness or the strength, or the question will come from the cost benefit analysis. Question number 6 can be any of one, like either the cost benefit analysis or the SWOT analysis. And you can see this is the end of the question. And this is sort of question exactly the same format you're going to see in the exam. It's going to be nothing new. It will be exactly the way we just seen for this question. The format and everything will be exactly the same. All you have to do, we have to practice the whole question bank the way I always advise my student to revise for the Synoptic, because this will be like your final exam. And all you have to do, you have to revise the question bank at least twice. The whole question bank you have to revise twice. Number 1. Number 2, read the pre-release material. Read the pre-release material is very important. You have to read the pre-release material. It's very important. And number 3, practice from AAT website. Practice from the AAT website. There is two practice question. So 2 practice question. Also 1 green light test. Practice that. And also I'll send you 2 mock I'll send you 2 mock with the answer. You have to practice this 2 mock. If you do this 4th thing, you will be absolutely ready for your exam. And hopefully there will be no surprise in the exam, and you will get kind of the full score in the exam. All right, so
question 2 for the budgetary reporting.
yeah.
When you list the weaknesses in the question, when you're writing the answer, does it need to be like full paragraphs or sentences, or can you just kind of list the weaknesses?
Question number 2. So question number 2, let's have a look. Just one answer for the question number 2. So this is the question, and we'll go back to the answer just to see what is the format. So let's have a look. Okay, so this is the answer for question number 2. Yeah, that's a 15 marks. So here they said draft budget for 2014 is based on the assumption of 10% growth in the sales volume and 20% growth in the revenue, despite a decrease of 2% across the board in the cost. And this appeared to be a very ambitious plan, which the directors say is justified by the company expansion into the EU. But by the new website, I suggest that we need to review the market in the EU, which will be much more competitive. So what happened? In the budget, they are saying the sales will be growth 10% in the volume, the unit, and 20% will be the revenue will be increased. But obviously, based on the scenario, it doesn't look like, it just look like your expectation is really more. Why? Because the market is very competitive. So what happened? You finding the weakness and you giving the comment on that. You said like, okay, whatever budget you're making doesn't look like it is a realistic budget, because you are saying 20% will be growth, but I don't think so, because the information I can see on the scenario, it says like the market is very competitive. So how can you be growth very quickly 20%? So this sort of thing from the scenario you have to do. You can see for the 5 marks how much you have to write. So you have to explain here a few things, and also you can see you have to make some points. So this is the kind of, you need to write this amount of information for the 5 marks question. See that?
Yeah.
And the next one, you can see this for another 5 marks. So you need to give another comment here again. You can see they said the budget does not seem to be realistic. You can use this word, because if you think the budget is based on just an assumption, and this assumption doesn't feel you realistic, because whatever you're saying and whatever data we have in the budget doesn't match. Because if I said like, oh, my employee cost will be my skill labor cost will be reduced by 10% next year. But on the other hand, the scenario said there is a high demand for the skill labor. So it doesn't match, isn't it? If there is a high demand for the skill labor, or there is a shortage of the skill labor, how my labor cost will be decreased? It will be increased, because the demand will be more in future, isn't it? So you have to say this is like kind of doesn't look like realistic. So this sort of thing you have to write for the question number 2, and all you have to write it is kind of mainly the comment based on the scenario or based on the budget. All right. So what will happen, Ryan? Your next job will be, until I see you for the next lesson. Do you have the question bank, isn't it?
It hasn't arrived yet, but I have ordered it. Yes.
That's perfect. So what will happen? You have to revise this question bank twice. From the question number 1 to the whole question bank, you have to revise twice. Number 1. Number 2 is the 2 practice tests from the AAT website. And I'll send you some more question. You have to practice that as well. And there is something called green light test. You have to practice that as well. And what will happen, by the time I will see you after, like, let's say 2 weeks after, and what will happen by the time, you have to have a question for me. So all the questions you don't understand, when you practice, you write it down for me. And when I will have a session with you, I'm going to explain all the question. And I'm going to do a revision with you, few questions that question normally come to the exam, so that you can prepare yourself and you can say, okay, this question is going to be seen in the exam. Okay. All right?
Yeah.
Any more question for me?
No. really, no, just the question when you have to comment on the budget. Is it just is it always based around the different types of budgets?
Exactly.
Or is there anything else?
Yeah. No, just on the budget.
Okay,
Just on the budget.
that's fine.
All right. So if you practice few questions, you will have some more idea after.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So what
Fine.
I'll do, we're gonna fix the time. We'll speak later, like in 2 weeks or 3 weeks time. We're gonna set one lesson, and obviously by the time we'll revise everything, and I'll be able to answer all the questions you have. And I'm gonna send you some more questions so that you can practice. All the questions you can practice. I'm going to. This session is recording, so I'm going to send this on to you as well, so that if you need to watch what area we discussed today, it will help you. All right. All right then. So thank you very much, Ryan, for joining me today. Hopefully, like we're going to meet very soon. And if you have any question, feel free to email me. You have my email, isn't it?
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye.